I'm always talking about how important it is that conservatives talk to liberals and explain our views in a way they can hear. Lately, I've been thinking about how Dave Rubin went from an open-minded liberal to what can only be called a committed conservative. Many times he's been asked why he changed his mind. What was the aha moment? Invariably, he tells about having Larry Elder on his show, how the conversation turned to systemic racism, how Larry just beat him up with facts.
So, but you wouldn't not acknowledge that there are some systemic issues.
Give me an example. Tell me what you think the most systemic racist issue is. What is it?
Well, I would say that because black people in most cases, in many cases, were descendants of slaves, that racism as an institution, that it just, a certain amount of it just exists.
2015? Give me the most blatant racist example you can come up with right now.
I think you could probably find evidence that in general, cops are more willing to shoot if the perpetrator is black than white.
What's your basis for saying that? Last year...
Well, look, I know a lot of people would say, look what's going on in Chicago.
I know what they would say. Yeah. I'm talking about what the facts are. 965 people were shot by cops last year and killed. 4% of them were white cops shooting unarmed blacks. In Chicago in 2011, 21 people were shot and killed by cops. In 2015, there were 7. In Chicago, which is a third black, a third white, and a third Hispanic, 70% of the homicides are black on black. About 40 per month, almost 500 per year last year in Chicago, and 75% of them are unsolved. Where is the Black Lives Matter on that? The idea that a racist white cop shooting unarmed black people is a peril to black people is BS. It's complete and total BS. In Baltimore, where Freddie Gray was killed, Freddie Gray died in a van. I shouldn't say was killed, died in a van. Yeah. You have a city that's 45% black. City council is 100% Democrat. The majority of city council is black. The top cop at the time was black. The number 2 cop was black. The majority of the command staff is black. The mayor is black. The AG is black. And yet here we are talking about racism. I mean, it's absurd. Yeah. It's absurd.
So it's funny, I find myself caught in between this a little bit as a liberal, where I want to always try to defend the other. So in this case, the other being black people, I'm always sympathetic to that. And that, at the same time, I hear you laying out a pretty solid case.
These are just the facts. I'll tell you something else, too. There was just a study, University of Washington, and it turns out cops were more reluctant, more hesitant to pull the trigger against a black suspect than a white suspect.
Nobody, with the possible exception of Ben Shapiro, is better with rattling off statistics. But stats coming from a black guy who grew up in South Central Los Angeles is persuasive in a way that a fast-talking young Jewish guy can't match. I first heard of Larry Elder in the mid-'90s. Dennis Prager, who was making the journey from liberal to conservative, had heard Larry on local radio in Cleveland. At the time, Elder, an attorney himself, was running a headhunting firm for lawyers. Prager got Elder to fill in for him on his show, which was then on KABC in Los Angeles. Elder was so good that Prager managed to get him hired for a full-time slot. Elder came home to L.A., and the rest is history. Sometime later, Prager went national with Salem Broadcasting, and Larry Elder followed. Last week, Elder announced his candidacy to replace Gavin Newsom as governor of California, and within just a few days, polls show him in the lead among challengers. Also, polls now show that Newsom is actually vulnerable. Quote, a survey released Tuesday by the University of California, Berkeley's Institute of Governmental Studies, sponsored by the Los Angeles Times, found 47% of likely voters saying they would back the recall effort and 50% saying they were opposed. Close quote. 3 points? That's within the margin of error. 2 things are going on right now in California. The first is that we're back to wearing masks indoors again due to COVID's Delta variant. And the other thing is the arrival of fire season. Newsom, in a bid to have the recall performed while he was still handing out government money, got the vote scheduled for September 14. But this means that, more than likely, there will be a dozen or more active wildfires in our state while Newsom is trying to fend off the recall. Last year, as people all up and down the state were locked at home, Newsom stood in the smoky devastation left by a wildfire and tried to blame climate change.
So I guess, forgive me, I'm being a little bit long-winded, but I'm a little bit exhausted that we have to continue to bait this issue. This is a climate damn emergency. This is real. And it's happening This is the perfect storm. It is happening unprecedented ways, year in, year out. And you can exhaust yourself with your ideological BS by saying, well, 100 years ago we should have done this or that. All that may be true. And I'm not going to suggest for a second that the forest management practices in the state of California over a century plus have been ideal. But that's one point, but it's not the point. The reality here is the mega fires that we're experiencing come from these mega droughts that we've experienced.
We're sick to death out here of politicians like Newsom ignoring the critical need for more reservoirs and more aggressive forest management. We've always had droughts, and we're having a drought now. Here's what Lake Oroville looked like last week. How's that for a vacation wonderland? Jason Seiler and I had a chance to meet Larry Elder a couple of years ago. He's as down-to-earth as can be, open, funny, easy to talk to. Elder is not from the side of conservatism associated with evangelicals. That brand does not play well with California moderates and independents. Larry Elder is from the small L libertarian branch, and that brand does play pretty well in California. He has the energy, the drive, and 25 years of experience taking on all comers on California radio. If there is a debate between Newsom and Elder, I hope they have a medical team backstage, because the whooping Elder gave to Dave Rubin is going to seem like child's play by comparison. Look, our roads are horrible, our gasoline prices are through the roof, 165,000 homeless people are camped along the highways where commuters see them every day. Our schools are always near the bottom nationally. In this study, which included Washington, D.C., California was 41st out of 51 for test results, and dead last for safety. How is that okay in a state where the annual GDP is almost twice that of our nearest competitors? As the fires begin to rage, there will also be what's called rolling blackouts. That's where the juice is cut during a heat wave because Democrats have opposed building the power plants we need. This is all about persuasion. And to paraphrase bluesman Robert Cray, Larry Elder is such a strong persuader. It's going to be fun to watch. And how great would it be if California's first black governor was the sage from South Central? Anyway, I'll keep doing my own little bit out here trying to wake up the woke to the realities of life. Saturday night, I'll be performing at a backyard concert series in the heart of the San Fernando Valley. I might well be the only conservative there. I'll be with my longtime sideman Greg and a backup singer I've been wanting to work with for years. We'll be live streaming, so if you're interested, watch for an announcement video. I'll give you the link then. All right, take care of yourselves. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel and then click the little bell to get notifications.